All right, everybody, it's the video everyone's waiting for. You probably watched 30 of them. This might be your 31st, might be your first, might be your 100th. Who knows? Evo Swing. For those of you that don't know, Evo Swing, the brand new swing in PGA Tour 2K25. If you don't remember, back in the good old days of 2K23, it was all about swinging straight as you could. Now, you got this little doohickey that when you shape it, it moves it around. What the heck? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Speaking of that, let me do one thing before we get into it. We are going to turn on the Provision trajectory. Let's do that. Yeah, it's this one, right? I think it's this one. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right. 3 things we're going to do today. 1, we're going to talk about the 4 steps in this, the 4 things that matter in this, what I deem are the 2 most important, and then how you can improve on those. That would be step 2, how you can improve on those, and how I hold the controller, and how I view things, and how I think most people can succeed in this game. Part 3, a guide to shaping to design your optimal outcome. That's going to be a little bit shorter, but that's kind of how we're going to go roll with it, all right? Those of you that don't know, Evo Swing, there's 4 parts to it. All right, you're going to see my crusty hands. I play left thumb, left stick. You have 4 parts of it. You have your downswing. That's your swing path. Your transition is your turn, in a sense. That's your initiation from your downswing or your backswing to your downswing. You have your rhythm. That's the pace. I think people have been saying it's a 3-to-1 pace, or yeah. So you go back 1, 2, 3, 1, essentially, in a sense, is 1's your downswing, and then contact. That's that part at the top. That's where you hit that. Boom. Perfect on that. All right. Capiche? That's the 4 parts. Okay. I don't play with Vibro, but I have a way to understand how each step can you kind of get yourself into a flow. Think rhythm, think a metronome, think a way of doing it very simple. Swing path. I deem this the most important part of the swing. So you see it here. Getting back on a good line makes it very easy to hit a perfect. For a lot of people, that's going to be the case. Whether you're hitting a driver or whatever, getting the bottom makes it easier. Like if I go way out to the side. Okay, never mind. That's a bad example. I could still hit a perfect. But I think the swing path is the most important part of the swing. If you can get yourself going back on a good angle, then you're golden. So the way I view it, especially on like a PlayStation 5 controller, for example, with a fade, I play left stick. Kind of, you see this, the light on the touchpad. Imagine you take, with like my correction right now, imagine I take it back in line with that, essentially, like at that angle, and then up through that angle. Boom. 4 perfects. That's with a PS5 controller. I don't know if I'll be able to help y'all with a G7 or V2 or mouse and key, but that's my viewpoint, is think about finding that. That is step 1. For your transition, I try and think of it like, I think of starting to initiate my downswing. I'm not really paying attention when I swing right now. I think the biggest part of initiating your downswing is when your character gets to about right here. So not quick, but like think smooth. Think you're just coming through smooth, you know, and that kind of pairs directly into the rhythm as well. Is you can use it when you get to the top, you think about it that way. And that's a good way to hit rhythm. Think smooth. Don't think get to the top and push it forward as hard as you can or quickly or whatever you need to do. Think take it back nice and slow. So if I try, let me see if I can get the controller on the screen here. Let's see if we can get this to work. It's probably not going to go very well because I am an idiot and I don't have another camera. But if you do it this way, you see it's perfect rhythm. I'm holding the controller weird because I have to hold it up super high, and that makes it a little weird for recording purposes for contact and swing path. But that's how I deem it for my transition and rhythm essentially. And then, as I said, if you can get the swing path down, you're probably getting the contact down. That's the tips I have for it, is that I really think on a PlayStation controller, really also turn on the correction vibration and then just kind of start messing around with like looking at the controller. Take some swings where you look at the controller and you hit a swing. Figure it out. So figure out what you're doing. Also, a tip from what I've been seeing, this could go very badly. Like for me, let's say I do that, turn to a draw. I could be wrong here, but I'm going to tell you something that I think is probably true. We're going to go to right stick. I have not touched right stick in this game at all. Hold on. 1 second. 1 second. There we go. So a little bit. However, what I think is the most beneficial bias for each person is dependent on what stick they use. People might disagree, but if you're playing like me with one thumb, I think it's very easy to play the bias on where your thumb sits on the stick. So for me, I play left stick. So I play with my left thumb. So my thumb sits a little bit on the inside of the joystick. So when it sits on the inside of the joystick, it's pretty easy to take it back inside. And obviously when I go to putt, then I maybe move my thumb more on top of the controller. And then vice versa on the right stick, it might be easier if you have your stick out here. It might be easier to take it back on a draw swing because you're able to, unless you want to do it this way. But I think the biggest improvement you can make for yourself in this game is not holding the controller with the death grip. It's all about having a swing that's pretty repeatable and pretty smooth. I never try and rush my swing. It is always just, I do kind of have like a 1, 2, 3, 1 in a sense. Like I have a metronome in my head almost in a sense. So truly, like I do think for people, one, playing on, if you're on a left stick, one thumb play fade, and if you're right stick on one thumb play draw, and try and just have your thumbs sit on like the outside of the thumbstick. I think that'll give you the best bet of success. But first off, that kind of leads me into my last point. Don't mold your movements to the swing plane. Mold your swing plane to your swing. So in a sense, like I've figured it out to like, this is my I don't have to adjust. But like I can get it pretty close every time with this one. I'll hit a couple loose shots here and there. You know, like we can switch clubs so it doesn't fly as far. We can switch clubs. Like I get it pretty close pretty much every time. Also boosting your contact to swing path helps with that. However, I'm not a person who's going to, like when you're shaping, there are people that like to play it. There are people that like to play it pretty close to center. There are people that have played this game that are taking the stock shaping and moving it. And how does that affect it? Obviously, when you move it left to right, it does nothing with your marks on the bar. But if you do something around like spin, as you can see, the white outside of your perfect mark gets slightly smaller. But as you move it, the gray or light white, I don't even know what you would call it, because it used to be really gray in 2K23. It's not really gray, but that's what we would call the gray in 2K23. That is where that shrinks as you shape, and as you shape here and here. So as you can see, like if you watch this line, nothing here. This spin, top spin, or knuckleball essentially. Then obviously this is D-loft. This is loft. I'm still convinced this is, yeah, I'm still convinced right is spin and left is, right is loft and left is spin. All the way through the other games, it was never that way. But really just take swings. Like, for example, like if I'm a person who's doing this, if I'm doing this, if that is my swing, I'm not sitting here trying to mold it to this swing path. I'm moving it this way so I can get a better swing. I'm not molding my swing to what the game is telling me I should hit. I'm molding the swing plane to what I feel most comfortable hitting. Like, there are people that can hit this swing plane all day long. I can't. I personally can't. Just based off of how I hold the controller. Like, I would have to pretty much, if I wanted to hit this swing plane, I would have to pretty much, yeah. Like, I can hit the bottom and top. Like, that's a very odd swing plane to me. There are some people that have gotten the math down to where it's like, okay, this is my correction. So I go 1, 2, 3. And then they hit. You know, that's all it is. However, you will be doing yourself a disservice if you just figure out a way to just mold it to what it says rather than working with what you have. And if you want to improve and try and get closer to a certain one, and if you're someone who's swinging way left and way right, that's fine. However, I do think it's very beneficial for people to just try and work with what they have and go from there. And it's fine to hit a pull open or a pull closed or whatever, as long as you know you're going to hit it. The biggest thing in this game is consistency. It's all about being able to repeat your swing over and over and over again. The feedback is true. The feedback is right. It's easy to understand it. And it really helps you improve if you kind of take that knowledge and put it in the memory bank. All you need to do is just learn your swing. I know I've said it 50 times, but I cannot reiterate it enough. Learn your swing and go from there. My biggest tip, though, this is my golden nugget here at the end of this video, though. We're coming up close. We're coming up in 13 minutes, and then I'm going to let y'all go. Play with the shot setup feedback on. Shot meter. So that's that thing all the way on the right side of the screen. Play with it on. How I learned to swing well on this game, I do play with it off for the most part now. Most societies that I play have it off. That's kind of what I've gotten used to because I've kind of learned the swing. What I've learned is it's very easy to just kind of look at that meter and make your swings. Once again, I've had a lot of really good feedback on the 4 perfects thing. People call it the quadfecta, the Rushmore, quad perfects, whatever you want to call it. We got a lot of them out here. If you have any other ones, let me know. But yeah, look at that feedback and see what you can do. I think looking at that feedback, people can replicate things visually a lot. The human brain is a wild, wild thing. A lot of people can replicate things that they do by looking at it. Think about it. There are a lot of people that can look at a picture and freehand draw better than most. There are people that baseball, basketball, golf is all hand-eye visualization. You see and you hit and you replicate and you swing. It's not as athletic in this game as it is in real life, but you can do things that make it easier on yourself. Play with the feedback on. You see me, if you ever see me in master videos or whatever where it's on, I'll look over. Especially if I'm losing my swing. If you're losing your swing, the best thing you can do is take a beat and find a simplistic way to get back. So for me there, that was a bad swing. So now I'm going to try and, I think I got my thumb too far onto the stick. So I'm going to move it down a little bit. And boom. You see, make mental notes of what works for you and replicate that. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Don't do one thing one day. Don't be like, ooh. Don't come in one day and be like, ooh, I'm going to double thumb. You know, like I'm going to double thumb. And then the next day you come in and you're like, ooh, I'm going to pinch. Or something weird. Or play with your knuckle, who knows? Play with your index finger alone. I don't know. Like, you can, who knows? Play with your index finger alone. It's actually not that bad. I expect it to be worse. Pick a swing. Dedicate yourself to learning it. There are people that are very good with a bunch of different swings. There are a lot of people good with double thumb. There's a lot of people good with pinch. There's a lot of people good with one thumb. There's a lot of people good with the thing called Terminator, which is essentially one thumb where you move the controller around. There's videos of it on YouTube. But that is my kind of quick, kind of ramble, kind of really good way from the number 2 player in the game, 2K23, was number 1 for a year, won a lot of events, over probably close to 20, I believe, and someone who's picked up this game pretty well to start. Those are my tips. Find your swing path. First off, find the way you're going to hold your controller. Step 1. Step 2, find your swing path. Depending on how you hold the controller, depending on what stick you use, find the bias that you think fits you best. Step 3, take swings. On the range, on a course, wherever, take swings. Step 4, start molding your shot shape to that. Then step 5, the biggest tip, look at that meter for feedback. Because I literally just held that with one hand and hit a baby pole. Like, I'm literally holding this controller with one hand. I have my other hand in the air. And I'm hitting decent swings. Look at that feedback, visualize the shot, and trust it. And just replicate it until you're comfortable with it. And don't quit. That's all I can tell you. If you guys have any questions about this type of video, man, leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this type of content, I hope it helps you guys improve. I try and think of things in a little bit of a different way than a lot of people do in this game. I think very simplistic, and I hope that helps a lot of people. But if you guys liked that, man, leave a like, sub, whatever you want to do. We are over 2,000 subs somehow. I don't know how. You guys are way too kind to me. What the heck? But let's keep growing, man. The sky's the limit. TGC should be back in a month, and we'll be happy and playing competitive golf. We'll have weekly ranked tours coming out later this week as well. But until next time, be nice to those around you, man. I love you guys. Thank you for the support again. Peace.